Welcome to this edition of Board Report. I'm Celia Longoria, and I'm joined by our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Antonio G. Limon, and he's here to discuss the items that were approved at the board meeting that took place just recently during the month of November. Mr. Limon, welcome.
Thank you, Celia. Always a pleasure to be here.
It's nice seeing you here. We had several construction projects on the agenda. If you can kind of bring us up to date a little bit about some of those projects. I know they talked about Sullivan Elementary, Veterans Memorial Academy, the new elementary.
Yes, the substantial, not substantial completion, but the final completion is already in for Sullivan. Remember, Sullivan had the additional wing that was added, as well as some parking lot work that was done on it. That's all completed now. The board has accepted the final completion. Those projects are considered finished. VMA as well is considered finished. The additional 30 classroom wing that we have here at VMA is complete already. We're continuing to make plans as to when and how we're going to move into it. The new elementary on 732, that continues to progress. It's on schedule. And I mentioned that as well while I have it in mind. The naming of that school is quickly, the deadline to submitting the names is quickly approaching. So we ask anybody that's listening that has a name that would like to submit, they can go onto our website, correct?
Yes, correct.
www.sbcisd.net, and they can download the application that they need to submit a name for the new elementary. Then the process will continue. You direct and guide that process. So can you tell us by more or less by when the name should be selected for that school?
Well, the committee's going to meet once we get all the nominations in place. We're going to submit all of the names that we receive to the naming selection committee members. They're going to meet again during the month of December. They're going to review the criteria. They're going to review the nominations, and then based on that, they're going to come up with if they feel like they need more time or if they feel like they haven't received enough names, because the process has been a little bit slow. Now, I know we're going to get some information out in the newspaper, and we're going to put out an advertisement just to kind of continue getting the word out. We've been doing that, but for some reason or another, some of the applications, some individuals have come by to pick them up, but they haven't turned them in or they haven't returned them. So that's why we want to stress if they can meet the deadline of November the 19th, which is at 4:30. That's on a Friday afternoon. And then from there, the committee reviews all the names that are submitted, and then they decide based on that, and they submit names to the board. But there's a whole other process involved, and then there has to be a public hearing to allow input from the public and all that. So everything will be kind of on schedule.
Everything is on schedule right now. The next deadline that has to be met is the 19th for the nominations to come in. So we recommend that if you have a name, please get that submitted to us. Good.
Great. And the forms, like you mentioned, they're still available on our website. We have had some folks that have submitted names that don't live here in the area, but they logged onto our website and they were able to access one of the forms. And that, I think we had one gentleman that doesn't live in the area. He lives out of state, and so they are coming in.
Good.
So hopefully we'll get a good response closer to the deadline date. Also, one of the other projects or item on the agenda is the approval of the instructional facilities allotment projects. There was 4 projects that were on the agenda for approval, and that's being the new cafeteria at Frank Roberts Elementary, the modifications to the landroom cafeteria, the high school, the roof, and then canopy concrete floors. Can you talk to us a little bit about the IFA projects?
Yes, I can. You know, the IFA projects were the projects that were approved when our voters, when our community gave us the approval to go out and sell bonds. And the last bond that we passed was for $37 million, okay? When we went out for that, we had projects that we were going to do. And those projects have been completed or are in the process of being completed. But because of good conditions that existed, we were able to sell our bonds just in the right time before the bottom came out of the economy. We got a good price on our bonds. We were able to hit the streets with our projects at a time when there was a lot of competition for the work because there wasn't that much work out there. A lot of great decisions that were made by the board, that were made by the district, that were made by our construction people, that this allowed us to finish our projects and still have basically $5.2 million left. So now we're adding new projects that weren't part of the original because we had this money that was left over due to the fiscal responsibility that the district had. So with those $5.2 million, now we've gone to the board and we've said, okay, we've got this money left over, we've reevaluated, and here's some projects that we need to do. Frank Roberts needs a cafeteria. They have one of the original cafeterias that hasn't been remodeled at all. They need a cafeteria. It's going to cost that much. It comes within those $5.2 million. Landrum is a sort of a satellite cafeteria. We need to do some adjustments there to make it a full-service cafeteria. It's going to cost this much and still be within the $5.2 million. The roof at the high school has nothing has been done to the roof at the high school since 1999. And there was just a resurfacing that was done. So that roof is well over 30 years old. So that roof needs to be replaced. So we've gone out, we've looked at bids, and we're going to replace the roof at the high school, and it's going to cost us this much. And the canopy, the floors and the canopies, there's 3 canopies that we have that need concrete floors. We're going to take care of that. Another project that we had that we sort of didn't do was we were going to cover all the canopies up, but after we looked at it and figured out, that they were going to be just unbearable with heat-wise during the summer months, and also that now that would enclose them and our community wouldn't be able to use them as freely as they use now. We're talking about the elementary canopies, where a lot of our children just go out and play basketball at night or in the evenings or what have you there. If they were enclosed, they would have to be locked up and they wouldn't be able to use them anymore. So we decided not to do that particular project after much thought. But all these other projects fall in line, and they all fall in line within those $5.2 million. We went to the board and said, these are new projects we want to do. They gave us their blessing last night, so now we continue with that.
Okay, great. There's also repairs to the old high school gymnasium, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yes. Those of you that live in this community, you know the old gym right there by the old Greyhound Stadium was the old high school gym at one time. It's still a very solid building. The floor is built on concrete. Some minor repair work needs to be done to the floor. That can be done with less than $800. The roof needs some repair, but once you repair the roof, that building becomes a usable building again. I would hate to knock that old gym down when it can still be used. So we went out, we got some different bids, and for under $25,000, they can repair the roof. We can fix the floor for under $800. And that gym will become a fully functional gym once again. If you know, Gateway Academy is located in that same area. And we have some 50, 60 students there at Gateway Academy. So those students could use that gym as part of their physical education, as well as other, sometimes in the past that gym had been used by district employees during the off hours in the evenings. They would go in there and play basketball. They would check out the key through the appropriate procedure. So it'd be available for district employees as well that want to go out, community members, that as long as there's a district employee there with them, they can go out and they can have some fun, shoot some baskets there and what have you. It'll be a fully functional gym, and that's what we're looking for. And I would just hate to have to tear it down, so I'm glad that the board was able to do this and we can restore that gym.
Okay, it's important to note that. Also, replacement at the gym floor at Berta Cavazza Middle School. If you want to talk to us about that as well.
There was, during the last hurricane that came in, there was some water that got into the gym and ruined the floor. This was covered by insurance. So now we've gone back in there and we're going to replace that floor, but replace it with a new type of floor that has just come out that has so much ventilation and so much different things under the floor. There will be a much better floor than what was there. Again, it's covered by insurance, and that floor will be replaced. And soon, the Berta Cavazza Middle School gym will be a restored gym, a fully functional gym again. Right now, we're not using it.
Okay. Also, another item on the agenda is the fueling station at the San Benito Facilities Complex. You want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, let me give you a little bit of history for some of you that may be listening that are not aware of it, but some 4 or 5 years ago, probably about 5 years ago, the district bought the old UTEX building, which was some 97,000 square feet or something of this nature. And the purpose of when we purchased that building was to move all our major departments into that building and be housed in one central location. The first ones that moved over there was the maintenance department. After the maintenance department, the print shop moved over there. After the print shop, food services moved over there. So the only other department that still hasn't moved over there is transportation. And that department was going to cost quite a bit more to move, so that's the reason we had to wait until we had the money available. And we had some money, some settlements that came in from Hurricane Dolly that gave us the money to be able to move transportation over there. Now, we're building offices inside there for transportation, and that's all within the budget that came in from the settlement. We're also moving the gas, we're not actually moving because the gas tanks that we currently have are located at the high school complex. It is not feasible to move those tanks. Those tanks are too old. It would cost actually more to move them than to purchase new ones. So we are purchasing the board approved last night, a whole new fueling station to be built there with, I believe, 6 pumps to fuel our buses, to house all our buses now in the UTEX complex or the facilities complex, and to move them from the high school. That would allow us to have additional parking at the high school. It would also allow us to remove those current gas tanks that are there in the high school complex that they need to be moved out completely. We're going to sell them to whoever wants to bid for them, whoever wants to purchase them, let's say for scrap or whatever reason. Those tanks are going to be removed from there. That facility is going to be converted into a parking area for additional parking for the high school. So the whole transportation complex, hopefully by the end of this school year, will be moved to the facilities building, and now all major departments are now located over at the facilities complex, which is located on UTEX Street on the industrial park.
Very good, and I know that that's going to relieve a lot of the congestion over there at San Benito High School. They have all the buses and transportation employees, and there's other areas close by, the police department and all that, so hopefully that'll kind of alleviate some of that overcrowding over there and parking situation.
Yeah, it will.
Okay, I believe we've covered all of the topics, the key topics that were on the agenda for last night. I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add.
Well, but by the time you view this, our by-district game will be over, but we're getting ready to host Harlingen for the second time this year in by-district, and go Hounds. And I won't predict anything except for a victory. How does that sound?
Very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Limon, for joining us today and taking some time from your busy schedule. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Board Report. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.